Hey, you wanna hear a story?
Oh, hello, I'm Newton, and I'm great, and I'm amazing, and look how I discovered and discover things. Oh, look at gravity. Oh, look at the light. Oh, look, if you don't move an object, it turns out that the object doesn't move.
You asshole. You have surely heard a lot about Newton, and for a good reason. He is one of the greatest minds, or perhaps the greatest mind in our history, with amazing contribution to physics and basically science in general. For this reason, it's surprising to think how his most direct rival has been practically forgotten by history. Robert Hooke. But even more impressive is to discover why. So, we'll talk about that later, okay? Hooke is described as a very small, weak, frail, and pale man, but he was one of the most important experimental scientists in all history, and also a genius in practically every field that he touched. It is said that as a child, back in the 17th century, this man led a brass clock and proceeded to make an exact wooden replica that actually worked. But this information came from his autobiography, so sources, trust me. And as he continued growing, these skills only keep improving. He was extremely good at building machines and mechanisms, being of great help to his master, Robert Boyle, and the Royal Society, where he was in charge for the experimental equipment as he did things like improving the vacuum pump, which had just been discovered. But as I said before, he was a genius in multiple areas, starting with physics and his own law,
The Hooke's Law.
which helped better understand and explain the force of springs and their limits, something of essential importance for engineering, or the fact that he was the first to notice the phenomenon of capillarity, which is that the height of a liquid depends on the diameter of the tube, though he didn't develop this idea. We must also not forget that he was the first to think that air had some special compound after a very ugly experiment involving a dog, which I don't want to detail, okay? Leading him to recognize the difference between arterial and venous blood. Yes, he proposed the idea of oxygen, although he didn't develop that idea either. Then there were the multiple contributions he made to astronomy, observing stars and planets, and even working with Newton on topics related to gravitation. And I don't need to repeat it, right? Or how could we forget that he's the discoverer of the cells? And he didn't develop that idea either! Yes, one day he was examining a piece of cork under a microscope and suddenly, upon focusing,
17 shots, I'm like, yeah, she's mine. Wonder when she'll be mine.
what the hell am I saying? He saw cells, describing them as a small polyhedral cavities that reminded him of honeycomb cells, hence the name. But after that, he just gave the information and proceeded to say, "That was weird, but let's see what new thing I will try now." But let's get back to the Newton's topic. What does he have to do with all of this? Well, Newton was very proud and rancorous, and Hooke had been his college, but also his rival, as they often debated theories about light and the theory of universal gravitation. Until one day in 1674, Hooke published a treatise in which he stated that the orbital motion of the moon was the result of combining the tendency of his motion to continue in a straight line with a single attractive force exerted by the Earth. But first than nothing, he proceeded to write a letter to Newton to see what he thought of these ideas. Yes, we are all thinking the same thing. Newton will proceed to publish these ideas a bit more developed as his own writings, with a mention to Robert Hooke. And when Hooke said they were his ideas, Newton developed them even more and proceeded to publish them once again, this time eliminating all traces of Hooke. This of course that injured him even more, but over time, and after Hooke's death, Newton became president of the Royal Society and took great care to erase all traces of his greatest rival. Who does he remind? Even including the only portrait of him. Yes, the character that I have created is an image made from descriptions, as unfortunately there is no surviving painting of Hooke. It's sad to think how this story was written by the winner so unfairly, but at least now you know who Robert Hooke was. Hey!
I want you.
To subscribe to this channel, give me a great like, and have a beautiful day.